failed to mention this from the onset, but big ups to the brother Yusuf Fail for turning me on to this book. Y'all go like his shit and follow him on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all that. Cause brother dropping shit, he dropping major jewels for free in the public for all those who really want to be free. So go sign up for SPC University too. 2.1 Warrior Draconian gone rogue. Spilling the beans, quote unquote, on the reptilian organization's secrets and on the information in this book. Here are my personal experiences, and I was very much cheated, and therefore I'm writing this. For 2 years, I had reptilian entities attached, a male and a female. I will name the male entity Atish for the purpose of this book, although this is not actually his name. I also refer to him as the rogue reptilian. I only found out about the female via Atish. They had been sent by Brian on his orders. They were initially fooling me into thinking they were helping. I wanted them there. They were my helpers. I believe they were against Brian when all along they had been giving him my location. They were there as spies, like I'd been bugged. Brian always happened to know my location, and I had no idea how. So for 2 years, I accepted these entities, not realizing that I could remove them. I hadn't known that Atish had been creating the conflict Brian had with me. He had been lying in order to turn Brian against me, playing on Brian's emotional hurts, and there were many. He is the only reason I fell out with Brian. What I learned from the reptilian entity was far more than I should have done. He gave much away. Here are some of the things. He is a large entity and attaches at the back. Used to be in the reptilian army, now a helper of Brian. Same rank as Brian, and therefore giving away that Brian is also part of the reptilian army. Exposed his female reptilian companion and Brian and how both of them rejected him. So he is now enemies with Brian. Enjoys harming humans. Seeks power and too much for his rank. Feels superior to humans. Hates all humans. Branton describes a worker in Area 51 talking about a reptilian they had to kill. Quote, reptilians hate humankind with a passion. They only want to see humankind dead. The hatred these beings have towards humans is incredible, and they will do anything to destroy the human. Held in captivity, they will take every possible advantage to kill a human, unquote. Therefore, they had to kill it. This describes this reptilian entity exactly. Breaks agreements unless future consequences to himself. His presence goes unnoticed when under orders and is not unpleasant. He fed back information to Brian, such as my address. Has a, quote, have to win trait, unquote, even if it, quote, cuts off his nose to spite his face, unquote. This would help as a soldier, but could also be a flaw as not rational. He is a liability to his organization, works for himself only now. His has to win characteristic has meant that he has actually exposed reptilian information to win himself, not only to me, but to the spirit realm. Breaks agreements unless future consequences to himself, as he broke this agreement with me, hence this book. Mentally works very differently to humans. He plans A, B, and C all going fully at the same time, predicting future probabilities, extremely clever. Works on logic, but, quote, has to win, quote, unquote, characteristic makes him illogical. Was a physical reptilian 3,000 years ago in China as part of the army. Experimented on humans, including sex for genetic research. Had a slave girl who would go out find humans for their experiments. They were masquerading as gods. This is a past life of his that has been found to be implanted in my etheric body. Looks up to winged dragons and would want to be likened to one. I assume, therefore, they are his superiors. thinks he is one. Says he is expecting a reward from the reptilians of a hybrid body when they first colonized the earth. Has described this to me. He said he would be the first lot there. His attitude changed when I was staying in a community. He had decided that he wanted to no longer be attached to me, and he had a plan that would mean he would leave me. It involved me contacting the reptilian organization. I knew someone else who was a reptilian host, and I wanted to contact him for help from the bullies of Brian and this reptilian. I wasn't safe to do so. I had entities, but the reptilian knew how I could do it. I had to make myself safe by getting the community to half believe my experiences, and so if I was harmed and had described it before, they would fully believe it. I had to write a book and tell the community I was writing a book on reptilians and give them information on Brian and tell as many people as I possibly could. He pushed me into doing it, and I was successful. I hated it. Brian was completely in the dark, but I ran out of time and had to leave early. But the book began then, and all these conversations are Atish working on favors for his removal. I'll give you information if you help me get removed. I only work for myself, and as long as I am in power, I don't care what information I have to give out to get others to help me against Brian.